guys, how's it going? Today I plan on doing another one of my videos where I read from one of my old journals. This one's going to be a little more timely. If you aren't aware or you haven't seen on my Instagram, Michael Dougherty's Trick or Treat from 2007 is getting released back into theaters next week. The cool thing about this, if you're a fan of the channel at least, is that Warner contacted me and they are planning on using some of my vintage Halloween footage in the re-release. There's going to be a little documentary beforehand with an interview with Michael Dougherty, and he's going to talk about Halloween memories and stuff, and they contacted me and asked if they could use some of my vintage footage in the doc. So if you plan on going to the screening, make sure you get there early. I think it's on the 14th and 16th. I'll throw something up on the screen now. And check some 90s Grunge Dreams footage out on the big screen. But what I'm planning on reading about today is the original East Coast premiere for Trick or Treat back in 2008. If you don't know, originally Trick or Treat was scheduled for theatrical release in fall of 2007. But then at the last minute, for some reason, Warner Brothers pulled the release. They did a similar thing, I don't know if it was Warner or not, but the similar thing happened with the Poughkeepsie tapes around that time. So everyone was like, where's this movie? It sounded awesome. Now we can't see it. Flash forward a year, and Michael Dougherty, the director, had brought his 35mm print to New York and lined up a screening with Fangoria magazine, a very limited screening, at the Two Boots Theater in New York, or I think it's called the Pioneer Theater, but also known as the Two Boots Theater in New York. The screening was available only to people who had tickets, which I think you had to win through Fangoria. Luckily, Tony Timpone Fangoria reached out and made sure I got some. You still had to get there early because it was first come, first serve. There's a whole story about that we'll get to when I read the journal. But this was kind of the world's first chance to see this movie that's now kind of like a Halloween classic. So what I figured I would do today is kind of read about what that day was like. This, ironically, was one of the last journal entries I did before I kind of really started writing in journals. And this screening took place on October 13th, 2008. Which ironically, my very first journal entry was going to see Halloween 5 on October 13th, 1989. So it's like 19 years to the day that these two entries kind of bookend my journal writing career. As usual, what I'm going to do is I took a lot of pictures that day. I'm going to lay the pictures over as I read the journal entry, and I'll stop reading every so often to kind of like interject and tell some stories. So without further ado, I'm going to jump in and read about the day that I got to see Trick or Treat in the theater a year before it was released on DVD, or there was no streaming then. Before it was released on DVD or home video, before the world got to see it. Let's jump in, folks. Tuesday, October 14th, 2008. Last night was the 35mm screening of Trick or Treat in New York, and it was amazing. Those exclamation points. We got to the Pioneer Theater at 4 p.m. So yeah, we had to drive up from PA and go to this little theater. I don't think it's there anymore. Blue Underground used to do screenings there in the early 2000s. I remember seeing like Death Dream there and Gates of Hell there. Uncle Sam I saw there. And then this was probably the next thing I saw after those. It was a nice little theater that I think is gone now. I'm pretty sure it's gone now. There were two dirtbags in front of us that, through the course of waiting to get in, let 12 of their freeloading friends in front of us. Let us in front of us. This was super annoying. So it was first come, first serve, and when we got there, there was maybe like 5 or 6 people in front of us. So we're like, all right, we're set. And there were 2 dudes in a lawn chair, and then throughout the course of the day, they would let more people in, and more people in, and more people in. And what we learned, I think, is that there was like a big community at the time. Maybe it was a homeless community, I want to say it was, or whatever, but they would just hop from free screening to free screening. They would just have one guy get in line with a lawn chair, and then they would let like 20 people in line in front of them. And it was really stressful, too, because the line kept growing and growing and growing. This was something that was easily going to sell out. And it's like, how many more people are you going to let in front of us? This was like driving us nuts. We were in line. When we finally got in, it was 7 p.m. and the line was around the block. At least 100 people must have been turned away. This is true. It was crazy. The line, I know a lot of people ended up getting turned away. The theater filled up really quick, and we found seats in the middle center. Yeah, this was like first come, first serve, so everyone kind of ran and grabbed their seats, and then you got up to like use the bathroom or whatever. So my wife and I grabbed our seats and then went to do what we had to do. Nikki used the bathroom, and then I went to grab popcorn and soda. James Marston was behind me in line, so I grabbed a picture with him. Yeah, this was crazy. So I was waiting in line to get popcorn and soda, and I turned around. James Marston was right there. You know, Cyclops from X-Men's James Marston. And then I was like, right, because Michael Dougherty wrote X-Men too. So after we both got our food, I was like, hey man, can I grab a picture? And yeah, he was super cool about it. I got a picture with him. I also got him to sign my X-Men 2 DVD because I had that with me because Michael Dougherty was going to be there. And he was like, how'd you know to have this, man? He's like, oh, right, because Michael's here. Yeah, but he was super cool, super nice guy. I think he ended up sitting like 2 seats in front of us during the screening. Let's jump back in. Then headed back into the theater just as Michael Dougherty's introduction was about to begin. After the intro, Tony Timpone informed us that there were people from Warner planted in the crowd and not to take out a camera or cell phone or we would get booted. They weren't messing around. They were serious about that. Yeah, I remember because normally I would have tried to sneak a title card shot or anything. I'm not messing around. I really want to see this movie. The next hour and a half was one of the funnest times I had at a movie in a long, long time. I think it's ironic too that my favorite theater going memory of all time was going to see Halloween 5 and that this screening, also a Halloween themed movie, happened to fall on October 13th. I think a lot of interesting screenings in my life have fallen on October 13th. It's like a fortuitous date. The movie was brimming over with Halloween atmosphere, and it's a shame that this thing has no release planned, yet Saw 13 will surely see the light of day. After the movie, the director, Michael Dougherty, along with actor Dylan Baker, did a Q&A. I asked the first question in the Q&A, and I remember my question was, what was your favorite Halloween memory? I believe his answer was carving a jack-o'-lantern with his dad, and then putting it in their window, and then maybe walking out to the sidewalk to see how the jack-o'-lantern looked in the window. It was something like that. They talked about the film, the director's love of Halloween, sequel ideas, etc. And we've been promised a Trick or Treat sequel over the years, and it's never come to fruition, sadly. I would love to see, because it's like an anthology. You could do a million things with that concept. Once that was done, I got a couple autographs on my X-Men 2 DVDs, so I guess that's when I got it signed. Talked to Victor, and then headed home. That's my friend Victor. I haven't talked to him in a while. But he must have been at the screening too. We stopped at Popeye's Chicken on the way home. Yeah, I think we stopped at a rest stop, and there was a Popeye's Chicken in there, and I got me some Popeyes. Okay, so now I'm jumping over to like the 14th, the day I'm writing this. Today, Joel and I went to Exton Mall and did our thing, which was probably walking around the mall, going to Cinnabon, eating lunch. We always would get lunch at the mall. Going to Suncoast Pictures because they were still around. That was our thing. I told him all about the movie and then headed here at 3 p.m. Here would have been the record store I was working at the time, so I'm assuming I'm writing this entry while I'm sitting at work. I bought the DVDs for Sweet 16 and Mausoleum. That's when Code Red was putting out a lot of really good stuff, and I would order this stuff through the record store. So either I bought them at the mall or I had them come in at work through the record store, but I bought those DVDs that day. And that's it. What to say about that? I mean, everyone loves Trick or Treat now. I remember feeling like really gifted that I got the opportunity to see that in the theater at the time, because it wasn't even talk of a home video release at that point. It was just like, here's my movie that never got released. Who knows what's going to happen with it? And I remember like so badly wanting to watch it again. I'm like, I just want to watch this thing again. It's so good. And I was talking to Joel the next day. I'm like, you know how you get hyped up for a movie and then it never lives up to expectations? I'm like, this movie lives up to those expectations. And it took another year for it to come out on DVD. It was 2009, October 2009 when it finally came out on DVD. And I remember going to Best Buy the day it came out, picking it up first thing in the morning. I think they only had like 3 copies. And then making plans with my friend that night for him to come over and for us to watch it, because he obviously hadn't seen it. I'm like, you got to come watch this movie. I'm so excited. We watched it that night, and watching it now has kind of become like a core fall memory. If you have not had the opportunity to see this thing on the big screen, please do yourself the favor and go on October 14th or 16th. I think it's a Fathom event. I think it's Regals and Cinemarks are screening it. And go see it on the big screen. It plays great in the big screen. And this is a new restoration. I'm sure it's going to look really good. Plus, you get to see some 90s Grunge Dreams footage on the big screen. Throughout the little doc, there'll be a lot of shots of like vintage trick-or-treating and jack-o'-lantern carving and stuff like that. And that's all my footage. So if you want to sit in a Regal and see footage of me carving a jack-o'-lantern at my mom's kitchen table when I was 14, this is your opportunity. Otherwise, I just wanted to get this video out before this screening happened, and I hope you guys are having a good fall season. Please go trick or treat. Please subscribe to this channel. And, you know, I haven't said it in a while. If you're new to the channel and don't know where to start with all the vintage footage, go to the 90s Grunge Dreams playlist and just start at the beginning and watch stuff chronologically. I really want people to watch all this stuff chronologically. I think it plays better to see, the same thing I say every time. Just watch it chronologically. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoy these journal videos. I know it's been a while. I've got another one coming this month and tons of 90s footage coming. Thanks, guys. Have a good day.